Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ebony Janice. I go by Ebony Janice, which means that you should call me Ebony Janice. And it is a Preach Eb Hip Hop Womanist Sermon Thursday. And today I want to talk about Meg the Stallion. Meg the motherfreaking Stallion. I'm trying to stop cussing. So anyways, I'm talking about her as theological text. Specifically, I'm talking about her as a woman who has been doing some of the most important public theological work about Black women's survival that exists right now. Through grief, through violence, through the specific and particular cruelty that this culture has always reserved for Black women who are bold enough to name what was done to them. That's it. That's where we are, in this moment, is that she named it, and that's the problem. So stay with me. Here's what I need you to understand first. Meg lost her mother. Don't just slide past that. Her mother was not just her mother, even though that's big enough. She was her manager, her best friend, the anchor, the person who built the foundation that everything else Meg was becoming was standing on. And she lost her right in the middle of her career, just starting to become everything it was always supposed to be. And she kept making music. Then she was shot. And then this is the part that I really need us to sit with for a second. She watched a courtroom and an entire culture spend years, to this day, trying to make her the villain of her own story, trying to replace her testimony with something more comfortable, trying to make the woman who was harmed into the one who caused the harm. And she kept showing up. She kept making music. She kept being Meg the motherfucking Stallion. Now, I need to say this. This is not about resilience, because I hope by this point you know how I feel about Black women and resilience as a compliment. This is actually a theological position, because here's what I've been saying in this real soft girl shit conversation that I've been having ongoing. Softness is not weakness. Softness is a cosmological position. It is the insistence that you get to remain fully human, even when the world is trying to make you into something harder, something smaller, something more manageable. And what Meg has been doing by choosing joy, by choosing pleasure, by choosing herself, even in ending a relationship so publicly, continuing to be fine, fly, fully present in her own body after everything that happened and is happening, that is soft girl science in action. She did not harden. She did not disappear. She did not perform the kind of dignified suffering that would have made everyone else more comfortable. She chose to still be a hottie. She chose to still be joyful. She chose to still be Meg. And I feel like this is what's important, that in the world that specifically targeted and harmed her body, choosing to celebrate that same body, to enjoy it, to declare it worthy and worthy of pleasure and care and attention, that is resistance, that is political, that is spiritual. That is really the whole thesis of real soft girl shit lived out loud on a public stage, which is why I dedicated the book to Meg Thee Stallion, why I am dedicating the book to Meg Thee Stallion. Now let's talk about the music, because the music is where the theology actually lives. When Good News dropped in 2020, right after her mother died, right in the middle of everything that was happening to her publicly, and what the album is actually doing, because I think we celebrate it as a bop and miss the theology entirely. Good news is not a denial of pain. Good news is a declaration that joy is still available inside the pain. It's someone choosing to be a bad bitch. Didn't I say I was trying to stop cussing? Choosing celebration, choosing pleasure, choosing to still be herself in the direct aftermath of devastating loss and public violation. And I don't think it's in contrast to that. I think this is a part of my journey. That choice is a theological act. Joy as resistance, pleasure as survival, the body continuing to be a site of celebration even after it has been a site of violence. In the womanist theological tradition, that is not frivolous, that is not shallow, that is one of the most sacred things a human being can do. And then there's Traumazine. So if Good News is the joy album, Traumazine is the testimony album. And so if we hold both of them together, because they're doing the same work from two different directions, Traumazine is the witness. It is willing to name what actually happened, to sit inside the weight of it, to make art out of this grief and this disbelief, to keep saying what happened in her own words when the culture wanted her to be quiet about it. That is the Black church tradition of testimony carried into hip hop. And in the Black church tradition, testimony is not just personal healing. Testimony is a communal act. There's something that is technology in that, right? When you stand up and say what happened to you, you're giving language to everyone in the room who experienced something similar, and maybe they just didn't have those words. So you are saying this happened and it's real, and you are not crazy for knowing that it happened. And everybody in the room is like, no, actually, yeah. And that's what Meg Thee Stallion has been doing for us. For every Black woman who has ever named her pain and not been believed, I feel like Meg's testimony is for her, for us. For every Black woman who's ever been called a liar, an attention seeker, dramatic, bitter, not received the empathy that she deserved, I feel like Meg's testimony is for her. And for every Black woman who survived something that was designed to break her and then to watch the world punish her for not breaking, which is what happens so frequently to Black women and femfolk, that's Meg's testimony. This is what I really hope we walk away with, because I know often I talk about, hip hop womanist conversations and ideas and preach ebs. And in the past, preach eb used to be like take a lyric, break it down. But I really feel like what I'm offering in these preach ebs, particularly in this moment, is a deeper conversation and reflection on how the body of the being is the sermon very often, right? That the music is doing something profound, but the life and the embodied and fleshed reality is also not is also, but is primarily, what feels like we should be talking about. And so the refusal to break is theological. And whether she ever says that specifically or uses that exact language, I think that's the reason why I put so much energy and effort into talking about like naming this real soft girl shit, real hot girl shit. Right? Like that's obviously where I got that from. That if we're talking about softness, that I want to talk about the things required to actually be like, what is the real soft girl shit? Meg, the motherfucking Stallion, has shown us what the real soft girl shit is. And it ain't always luxury and pink and cute and freshly laid edges, right? Sometimes it is crying and breaking and quitting and, starting over and coming back and saying it again and saying it again and saying it again. And that, period, period,